Hello. I always feel like I don't know what moment that's going to end. I've seen it so many times, and every time I'm like, is it time for me to speak? It is Sunday night, not Thursday, my usual. I'm trying to do sprints on more nights, and tonight I'm joined by my lovely friend Elizabeth Sagewood. I say tonight, although it is lunchtime, so good afternoon to Elizabeth.
Hello. Hello,
Good
hello.
evening to us in the UK. It's so nice to see you. I feel like it's been a little while since we've been on screen together.
Yes, it has.
And we've both been super busy, so it's nice to be able to just sit down, breathe, have a minute together to chat and then to do some sprints. So for people who haven't been here before, we'll chat a little bit, we'll do a 40-minute sprint, we will chat 40-minute sprint and then do a 30-minute one at the end. If you need to go at any time, Elizabeth, normally I'm saying if it's getting late for you, it's obviously not getting late for you, but if you have other things to do with your day than reading with us, then you can go at any time. Elizabeth's also streaming to her channel, so if you are watching this from Elizabeth's channel, welcome, thank you. And yeah, I want to know what you're reading because you seem to have been properly leaning into the spooky season, which I'm trying to with my reading, but I'm not getting much reading, which is really sad because it's my favorite time of year to read and I'm just not quite managing it. But I've seen like Buffy books popping up on your videos
Yeah,
and things like that. So how's the spooky season reading going?
it's good. It's been a really, really busy season. So I kind of overcommitted to everything that I wanted to do during October. So my reading time has kind of been suffering a little bit, but I am rereading Autumn Crow at the moment
Yay!
because it's like I just wanted the spooky vibes. And then, of course, after reading Autumn Crow High, I wanted to go back to the original to kind of see some of the parallels that I could pick up through that. So working through Autumn Crow for, I think this is like my third or fourth time reading it. And so this week I'll be starting Halloween Rain, which is one of the Buffy books. I haven't read it before. And I'm kind of interested to see. It's one of the ones that isn't based on an episode. So I want to
Yeah.
see like what's wrapped in there. So I'm really excited to get to that one. And for my audiobook, which I'll be reading today, because I'm going to be working on some content creation stuff in the background. I'm reading You're Not Supposed to Die Tonight.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I like
So
that one.
I've
I didn't
heard
listen to
some
the
good things.
audiobook.
Yeah, I've heard some good things about that one, but I was like, I'm kind of in the mood for a bit of a slasher. So that one's going really well. So things have kind of started to pick up in that story. So excited to get through that one.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. It is quite a slow burn at the beginning to say how short it is, but when it picks up, it like really picks up and it just kind of takes off.
Yeah.
And it goes in some directions. I'm so interested to talk to you about it after you've read it.
Oh, good.
It delves into some areas of horror that I wasn't expecting, which I do like that with horror. Like, have you read episode 13? I can't remember if I've seen you review that one.
No, it's one of those ones that like I've seen everywhere, but I haven't been able to dive into it yet.
Yeah, it's that's another that had like some areas of horror like it touched into that I didn't expect, and I quite like that because I think I don't know whether you're the same, but I feel like I've read so much at this point that things get predictable. So whenever anything's not predictable, I'm like, oh, this is so fun. Which is
Yes.
how I felt actually with Autumn Crow High. I said that to Cameron when I interviewed him. I love the fact that I got halfway through it and it kind of, as you know, has a little change halfway through the book. And I didn't see that coming at all. And I thought that's so clever. Like I love it when an author can do something that just feels really different and new and like keeps me on my toes.
Well, and it was funny because like the original Autumn Crow, we all know it as very cozy. It's very well written, very, sit down on a Sunday afternoon with a cup of tea and a blanket and read it. And in my review, I said the darkness of Autumn Crow High kind of made me a little bit dizzy in a way, like not as a bad thing. I was just like, oh, this is like sinister.
Mm. I mean, I felt that about some of the Autumn Crow stories, but I think the great thing with Autumn Crow, because I'm not great with really extreme horror, anything that like tapped into something a bit more uncomfortable for me, it then got totally reined in, and then there'd be a really nice, gentle, fun story that I'd be like, oh, I'm okay now, I can breathe. Because some horror anthologies I've read, they are a bit like, oh, it's high octane all the way through, and I have to read them quite slowly because they're intense. And I like what I liked with Autumn Crow, and why I read it so fast was that each story kind of cleanses your palette from the one before and like feels
Yes.
they're all tied together by this place, but it plays the different genres of horror, which I think is so good.
Well, and it's funny because we went to like a haunt in our area. It's called Screamfest. And when you're in those houses, like it was so scary to me. And once you get out, you're like, oh my God, I'm okay. So it's very much the same sort of thing. And then we went and played some carnival games.
Oh, I'm kind of missed. The only thing I'm missing out at the moment is like I'm loving doing like the child-friendly Halloween, but I haven't done anything. And it's so funny that you call it haunts because we've been watching a guy called Justin Scard, I think it's called Random Land, his channel. He reviews like Disney locations and he calls them haunts. And I was like, I've never heard this as a term, and you do it too.
Yeah.
I love that. This is like the kind of UK, US, maybe some people in the UK call them haunts. I don't know what we call them, but yeah, I just love that as a term. It's really cute to me. I'm going to do it like going forward. But yeah, so we've been doing really wholesome things. Like you saw today, we went like through a maze and it was so muddy. My toddler like lived his best life. At points the mud was like nearly to the top of his wellies, and he didn't want to go under any of the corn. Like he wanted to crawl over any that had fallen over. He crawled over it like commando style. So he was absolutely filthy by the end of it. It was brilliant. Excellent. But we haven't done any of the scary stuff. But Kev just passed to me. We did grow our own pumpkin this year.
Oh, look at that.
Ever pumpkin. We planted 4 seeds because I heard that they're quite difficult and I thought, well, this gives us a chance. We thought we'd got 2 pumpkins out of it. One got eaten. Like we came back and something had really like gone to town on it. So this is the surviving, and we just picked it today. So I'm quite proud. It started really dark green. And it's like starting to go orange now, but I like the kind of 2-tone. So yeah, I'm going to try again and grow some more and maybe see if we can get them bigger because this little guy's cute, but it's not like going to feed a family or anything. I don't know, like we were saying there, what do you do when you've grown your own pumpkin and become attached? Like, do you eat it? Do you carve it up? Like, it all feels kind of wrong to me.
Right? Because it's you're so emotionally attached to it.
It's like my pet now at this point. My pet pumpkin. But yeah, so we did buy some pumpkins today, even though we'd grown one tiny little pumpkin. We bought some like really weird ones. I don't know whether it's handy, but yeah, I bought one that looked all like lumpy and like something from a horror film. I wanted all the ugly pumpkins. Oh yeah, and my son and husband, they're into YouTubers who do things like throw rotten food out the window. So we did buy a really big cheap pumpkin, and my husband and son threw it out the window to see what would happen. Turned out it wasn't as dramatic as they make it look on YouTube. It sort of cracked and all the seeds fell out of it, as opposed to a great big explosion. I think he's asked if we can do a watermelon next. I'm like, okay. I mean, as the boys, I'm like outnumbered. I want to carve the watermelon and the pumpkin. They want to throw them out the window. So I'm just going to jump to the comments. So tonight you're planning to read Halloween Rain, aren't you? I was just thinking, like, is it Halloween Rain? Yeah.
I'm going to put on You're Not Supposed to Die.
Oh, yeah. And you've got Halloween Rain as well. Yeah. Because I was just trying to think. I'm sure I've read Halloween Rain because I read all the, like, the brown cover ones, like, back in the day with the ones with, like, the little brown borders. They were the ones that I had, like, in my early teens. And I did love them just because it was more Buffy, especially because there were some Angel ones. And I was Team Angel then. So, like, the Angel Chronicles were just my absolute go-to in my tween years. I did transition to Spike later, but at that point, like, the Angel ones were super important. So I need to reread those and just see how I feel now, because it's, I don't know. And another related subject, have you read or come across My Roommate is a Vampire?
No.
So I thought it was a YA book, and I picked it up, and it's like a mildly spicy adult book. Like, the spice doesn't start until later on, but I could see the spice was coming. I felt it. But basically, a girl discovers there's an apartment going for $200 a month, and her friends are all like, "It's clearly a serial killer, don't do it." But she's really broke, and she needs a place to live. So she moves in with this guy, and he's very cold and pale, and he only comes out at night, and he sleeps all day. And she's there, like, not using the word vampire until she gets the absolute definite proof of it, which you and I would just be like vampire straight away.
Straight away, yeah.
So, and it's really fun, actually. I'm surprised because I'm not normally into, like, the heavily romance leaning, but just because it references vampires so much, like, there's Buffy, like, they sit and watch Buffy together at one point, and he's kind of critiquing it and like, oh, that's true, that's not true. And it references, like, Into the Vampire and Twilight and stuff. And I'm, like, really surprised how much I'm, like, with this kind of rom-com, because it's not my thing normally. I normally like a little bit more, like, meat to the bone of stuff like that. Like, I like the darkness. But yeah, I'd definitely have a look at it and see what you think.
I'm going to copy that down because that sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, and it's like the cover totally like surprise, you know, it's pale pink and purple and it looks very nice, and it kind of is, but it's just not my usual. I don't normally pick up pink books. Like normally for the pink, I'm like, oh, it's gonna be more gentle than what I want, but it's good. And there's a nice little storyline. There's a bit of mixed media in there, and the mixed media is suggesting that they've got some like adversity coming their way from like an unexpected source. So yeah,
this is intriguing. I like this.
Yeah, I would recommend that. That's my kind of current read, although I'm reading a few different things in between all my editing.
Yeah.
So tonight I will be doing a boring admin task, which Kev's going to help me with, as he does with a lot of my boring tasks, bless him. And then I'm going to be editing Mina and the Cult. I was just looking at my intro with Mina and the Slayers imagery, and I was like, I need to add to the Mina and the Cult one now too.
Yeah.
I'll get Kev to add it. So it's quite nice now that everybody's seen the cover and it's like pre-orderable. It feels very real now. So I've just really got to finish this book. It will be finished like this year. It's going to be typeset by the end of the year, basically, to be printed beginning of next year.
So exciting. I'm so looking forward to it.
Thank you. It's an interesting one because, I mean, as you know, like cult horror can get quite extreme, and it's very interesting writing YA cults because, like, I don't want to go down the route of, without saying too much on my YouTube channel, what some cult stuff can be. Like, I didn't want to do that. To me, that wasn't where I wanted a YA thing to go. So it's like making it YA friendly, but also still like creepy and suspenseful. That's been the challenge that I didn't really expect with this one, because it kind of references real cults, but they're obviously more extreme than what I've included because, you know, in my cult, they don't make everybody drink Kool-Aid laced with poison and stuff like that. So
yeah, I'm really interested to see how that comes together because like you said, cults can be kind of adult. So definitely that's for sure on my most anticipated for next year because, you know, the first book I liked, the second book I loved. So it's kind of gone on this like upward swing for me. And now I'm like just totally invested.
Oh gosh, I hope the upward swing continues. It's really hard writing a series because you do, like, you pick people up along the way for different reasons. And I think that I've got to finish the trilogy like in a way that hopefully is satisfying to everybody, but ultimately it's got to be satisfying to me, I guess. That's what I'm trying to do. Like, it's got to be, because I always knew that this was the arc. I've got to make sure that it ends the way I want it to end. So I'm getting there, fingers crossed. I've got a couple more scenes to add and then some editing to do, and then it's kind of done, I think.
Wow.
Yeah, a lot of work. So let's go jump to the comments and then we will jump to a stream. My cup of tea is sitting looking at me and my biscuits, so I think I'm going to eat some nice things while I'm doing my boring tasks. Hi, Stephen. Thank you. Appreciate the support. Hello. I know that feeling very well, Kasha, very, very well. My reading this month, as I said, I think I've read 2 books this month so far, which is usually I'd have read about maybe 6 by this point, so I'm definitely behind my usual. Halloween Rain's hopefully entertaining.
Oh, good.
Like 12-year-old me remember, or 13 or however I was old when it came out, remember it being entertaining, but I don't have any newer recommendations than that. Hi. Oh, so we've got somebody from Texas as well. That's cool. We're really covering the States and the UK so far. I wonder if we'll get anybody from anywhere else. Hi.
Hey, Kelsey.
Thank you for jumping on. Everybody's saying hi to Kelsey. Kelsey's very cool. You need to. I should have probably said, actually, that Elizabeth has a brilliant YouTube channel, so I think I've inferred as much. You should definitely check out Elizabeth Sagewood channel and Kelsey at Simon Sasha's, both excellent for their horror content. And in fact, we have another cool YouTuber as well. Ed does a lot of awesome horror reviews and really focused reviews on indie publications, which I appreciate as somebody indie published. Edie's done lots of nice reviews of my books too, which is very much appreciated. I haven't even picked it up yet, Stephen, but I'm hoping to, because the author whose name I've completely blanked, who was on Most Haunted, can you remember what she's called?
Yvette Fielding.
That's the one, Yvette Fielding. I always want to say Yvette Fielding is at Yalk the same weekend that I'm there. So I'm going to try and read the first book before then and hopefully get it signed. Something really, yeah, I know. Like, some little creature got into our vegetable patch, which is pretty pathetic as far as vegetable patches go. It literally had pumpkins in it this year. Yeah, something ate it. Yeah, I'm quite proud of it. Kelsey.
Adorable.
I mean, look at it. Well, I'm now attached, and all the things you're meant to do to pumpkins, like cook it and eat it. It's just not going to happen. I think I'm going to end up throwing it away. Kev was like, can we preserve it? Like, is there a service that preserves pumpkins? Maybe. I'm sure there's a market for everything. Oh, I need to read Frankenstein.
Nice.
Oh, it's one of those books I've started reading it a couple of times and not been in the mood, and I need to actually read it at some point. Oh, hope your writing's going well. Yes, I do you know what? I want to write some ghost stories at some point. I love ghosty books. I keep looking at that. Let me know what you think, Caroline, as you get further into it. It sounds
Ballet
amazing.
horror. I like the sound of that.
Yeah, I feel like from what I read, it was something like a girl starts ballet school and she's feeling this intense need to prove herself, and it's really competitive and fierce. And I'm not entirely sure where the horror features in, but that sounds pretty horrific anyway. That environment. Thank you. I hope everybody likes it. Oh, we love you too. Mutual Appreciation Society right
Yeah.
here. Okay, and on that moment of mutual appreciation, let's go to a sprint. So we will do 40 minutes. I'll mark where we're up to in the comments. Let us know in the comments what you are getting up to. If you want any recommendations from me or Elizabeth, we are here for that as well. I'll start the timer and then we will see you on the other side. I was not prepared then. I was completely engrossed in what I was doing.
Yeah, me too.
I saw you jump as well. We both went, oh, cat! It's time. How did you get on?
Good. I've been doing some content planning. It's kind of crazy that I'm planning my last videos of the year.
Oh,
Like that's, I don't know. It's insane
this
to
year's
me.
been weird. I feel like I've been working a lot, like on book stuff. So somehow, like the real life stuff, like I've been busy and doing things in my life, but my head's been so in the book stuff that this year seems to have gone by really fast. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like I'm ready for a new start. I'm like 2024. I need to just set my intention for this year. Like,
Yeah.
you know, until this point, everything's been really like laid out in terms of my writing career, and with the Mina stuff, like kind of finishing off. It feels quite good. Like 2024 is a bit of a new start for me.
Yeah. And like I had life stresses outside of the book world this
Yeah,
year. And you know, I've kind of been finding my footing over the past couple of months. So I'm ready for a new start too, to, you know, come out of this really stressful time and just kind of be creative again and not have like all of my energy sucked out by my adult job, and which I had a change in my career, which has been, it was like the best move that I've made in a long time. So like just being creative again has been really nice.
yeah, that's awesome. And so you've kind of got more headspace to do your creativity and then actually enjoying your work a bit more as well.
Exactly. So like now I find I'm only thinking about my job 8 to 4, Monday to Friday, and
Yeah.
then all of the rest of the time I can use to fill my cup with whatever it is that I want to do.
Yeah, that's really good. I think that's the thing with me lately. Writing is just like eaten into all of my spare time. So Nathan goes to bed and I just write. And I'm looking forward to, I love it, but I need to get a bit more balance back.
Yeah.
It can kind of be something outside of love being a mummy, love being a writer, but I need to be other stuff too and actually
Yeah.
relax. That's my 2024 goal. And you can remind me of this. It'll get to January and I'll be like running around. Remember you said in October you were going to slow down this year. So yeah, I got the boring admin task done in that sprint. So now I'm kind of editing, and I'm at a really difficult bit where I've put absolutely loads of comments of stuff that needs to happen on it. So I need to just pick through them and figure out. It's going to be a really simple scene, but it kind of is needed. I need to tell the readers something about a character because it's going to have an impact later. So it's going to be like this little scene that doesn't mean much, but I know it does. So I've got to make it like hit the notes it needs to hit. So yeah, it's gonna be a tricky one. So there'll be lots of this space in the next sprint, and then in the last sprint, I'm working on Kev with something else, so that'll be a bit gentler.
Nice.
So you carrying on in the next sprint, listening to your audiobook, and
Yeah, it it went somewhere where I wasn't expecting it to go.
I thought it might. Are you about halfway through the book by any chance? Maybe a little
Yeah,
past
let's see
halfway.
how far I am in here. Oh, it doesn't give me a percentage. But there's only like I'm listening to it on like 1.7 speed or whatever. There's only 41 minutes left.
Oh, I
So
don't want
like
to say anything that's going to spoil it, but is there anything to do with an animal?
yeah. So we just learned about all of this stuff.
I was really trying to think of how to word that because if you'd gone animal, would
Yeah.
have felt really bad.
Yeah, this is not your normal slasher story at
No,
all.
and yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? I'm not going to say anything until you've read it.
Yeah, I
You'll
don't know if
remember that in
anybody
the
saw
next
my
one.
face kind of go, "What?"
I'm sure that when I was reading it, it was one of those where I said to Kev, like, you know, normally you can reading and you can digest it yourself. You're not supposed to die tonight. I'm sure I turned to him at one point and went, I've got to tell you this. Like, please let me tell you this because I can't actually believe this is happening. That's the fun thing though that we did read that as the book club, and it was great to discuss that. Like, we all had the same like, what's going on moment at the exact same point.
Yeah.
And actually, this month's read kind of has one of those, maybe not quite as extreme. When near the end of the book, it just has a little turn, you know, like when what you thought were the parameters of a world just suddenly flex and you go, oh, you've
Well,
gone there, have you?
can I just say this though, because and I don't know if you're like this, but for me, narrators really make or break an audiobook.
Mm.
And for this one, I'm not enjoying the
Uh,
narrator at all. It's It sounds like a very young girl who has like a put on Valley girl kind of accent.
Okay. That doesn't kind of reflect the person in the book, I don't
Well, and
think.
it's sort of strange because she'll say a sentence like, I don't know, um, pick up a pumpkin, just for example. And she'll say, they said in a sing-songy voice, but she doesn't do the sing-songy
Oh,
voice.
okay.
So I'm like, that's kind of weird.
Yeah. Yeah, I tend to find that particularly YA books, you get these adult narrators doing the voices and trying to sound like a young girl, and it can sound
Yeah.
really like this.
So I
Um,
think that's what's going on here, and it's really
yeah,
taking away from it, but the story is compelling enough that I'm sticking with it.
I think that that is tricky with an audiobook. Like episode 13, I would highly recommend if you want to read it, listen to the audiobook because it's one of those full cast ones and like the
Oh,
acting is
yeah.
really good. And for me, I thought that I maybe enjoyed that more. I really liked it anyway, but I think that the book, like the audiobook retelling really made it. And the same with Dracula, like I absolutely love the full cast audio version of that. It's just amazing. And I think it's a great book anyway, but when you hear it really brought to life by amazing voice actors.
Yeah.
Like James Masters, if he does an audiobook, I will listen to it, even if like I'd kind of gone off the Cassandra Clare ones. I enjoyed them, but I wasn't super into the more recent ones. James Masters reads one, and suddenly I'm there again. So yeah, I think for me it can make me read a book that I wouldn't have otherwise read if certain people read it.
Yeah, but with this one, like I'm actually going to do a standalone review of this one, I think, on my channel, and like I've got to put that in there. Like, please sample the audiobook before you read. It was just something I really need to do, like sample the audiobook before I buy it, because then
I don't ever think to do it. I don't, and it does sometimes. Like weird things can happen as well. Like I'm listening to the Vampires of El Nino, which is quite different than what I expected. Actually, I expected more vampire stuff. I'm not gonna lie. Um, but the audio narrators, one of them speaks quite slowly and one speaks quite quickly, so I keep having to adjust my speed because it's a male and a female, and then I don't remember which way around it is, but one of them I'm like, whoa, hang on, I can't understand you again. I think it's the male one must be a bit faster, and I have to jump, otherwise I miss what he says. And it's just little things like that. It's not a
yeah.
huge deal, but if I was driving when I was listening to it, it would be really annoying because I wouldn't be able to understand him. But yeah, they're both great though, so it's all worth listening to that one. It's just a weird little
Yeah,
pet
I've
peeve
heard
that
a lot
I
about that book actually recently, and I haven't had a chance to pick it up yet, but I want to. It's on my list.
it's a lot more romance than I expected. I will just warn you. I was
Oh,
expecting more horror, and it's
uh-uh.
very much historical romance with a little bit of vampires. I expected like vampires,
And
western,
then
and
yeah,
romance, and it's romance, western vampires kind of.
I thank you for telling me that, because if it's romance primarily, I probably won't read it.
Yeah, I'll let you know. I think I've got about maybe quarter of the audiobook to listen to, and it's one of those, where you've got a monster and they're sort of in the background. There's been the occasional vampire encounter, but they're still very much lingering. So it's quite sinister that this vampire encounter is coming, I think, without giving too much away. But it hasn't been. I was expecting vampires to be more integrated into the
Yeah.
story, like with it being in the title. They're more of an external threat. I don't know. I was thinking like cowboy vampires riding around. Like, I don't know. I think maybe that's a me thing. Like, when you're reading something, you think that this is my problem. This is not the book's problem. This is me going into it, looking at a pretty cover and a title and making an assumption.
Well, funny enough, a couple of weeks ago, we went to see The Nun 2 in
Okay.
theater, and we went in knowing it was going to be cheesy. We knew it wasn't going to be great, but it turned out to be a lot of fun. We actually enjoyed it. But we walk into the theater, and we're very much like old folks, so we go to movies in the middle of the day. So this was like 11 o'clock in the morning. And we go and we sit down, and this old couple comes in, like they're in their 70s, and sits down to
Oh.
watch this horror movie. And I'm like, I don't
Do they?
know. I'm like, should I go ask them? Do they know what they're watching here? So anyway, there was a couple of scary parts that had happened, and they got up and left. And I'm like, that was not what they were expecting
Oh.
at
Kev and
all.
I was one of the Tarantino films, one of the more recent ones. We ended up sitting near a really old couple, and I had that thought, but then I like glanced up a couple of times, and they were really into it, and I was like, "Oh, it's me and Kevin, like 30 years still watching
That's
our
what I
Tarantino
said. I
films."
was like, maybe they're just Matt and I, like, 40 years from now.
Yeah, like I know after having seen those two, like I wouldn't make that assumption. But yeah, the Nun 2, certainly I wouldn't probably expect elderly people to be watching. Like I can't see my parents
No.
sitting and watching a Nun film. Not that they're that elderly, but I don't know. Okay, I'm going to jump to the comments, and then it's time, I think, to go to another sprint, and I'm going to try and write this tricky, deceptively simple scene that will take you 2 minutes to read, but that I need to get right. Okay, letters in the beginning. I can't remember which book did we say we're reading. Oh, Frankenstein, yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I find stuff like that quite tricky when when you're reading sort of thing like classic fiction, like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is a very short book, but there's some of that in there as well where you're like,
yes,
is this them just rattling on a little bit, or do I actually need to really concentrate? I do. Frankenstein keeps coming up. I'm gonna have to read it. So is the all new sequel the one that isn't linked to the movie? I think Cameron Chaney was talking about
yes,
this
one. It's not linked to the movie. They don't have any link there, but I believe Cameron said it was really good too.
Yeah, I really want to read it because the movie sequel I wasn't hugely obsessed with, but I think it's one of those things. I really love the first film, so I don't think
it wasn't going to live up to it anyway.
Yeah, I grew up watching it. I saw it at the cinema when I was 9 or 10, so I think nothing's going to kind of mean that it was probably one of the scariest things I watched at that age as well, like the bodies rising out of the ground and stuff. It really scared me. So yeah, I don't know. I can't judge the sequel objectively, really. Hi, don't worry. We can all turn up at any time. Thank you for joining us. Pearl Keeper's Daughter. I don't know. I think Keeper's Daughter might be fantasy. I'm not sure what Paralyzed is. Everybody knows each other. This is nice. Yeah, I know that feeling, Edie, trying to squeeze the weekend for what it's worth. Yeah, see, my weekend's definitely nearly over because it's like nearly bedtime for me now. Hello. Oh, 4 people in different time zones. October Screams. That sounds good. Have you heard of that one, Elizabeth?
It's ringing a bell, but I can't place like the cover or anything.
Yeah, already the titles made me like, yes, it's sold. I need that. That sounds good.
Hey, Jackie.
Hey, nice little pumpkin. I mean, I'd like to think that we rank above Swordtown. Thank you, Andreas. I appreciate you making that sacrifice for us. I watched 2 Saw films, and in the second one, it targeted a very specific niche fear of mine, injections, in quite a graphic way. Oh. And I saw it at the cinema, and I just literally was like, I'm done with the Saw films. I'm done. Now. It hit a spot where I was like, I can't do any more of these now. I've done with them. So I can't believe there's been 10 of them. There's been like That's 8 crazy. Since I was watching one. Yeah, I think I saw something recently. Is that the most horror sequels there've been? I don't know whether some of the Freddy. I don't know how Freddy and Jason compare.
A Halloween or Friday the 13th has got to have more than 10, I think. Don't they? I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to look that up.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not very good with like numerical things. I'm better with the words. But in terms of modern franchises, like Saw hasn't been going that long, like compared with Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street. It's quite impressive that it's had 10 films in how many years?
Yeah, I've never actually seen one. It's not my niche of horror at all. So I just nope.
I found the first film clever from a psychological point of view of what would a human put in a horrible, potentially deadly situation be prepared to do to get out of it. I thought that was interesting. I'm not sure for me whether I need 10 films of that to explore that same premise. I mean, maybe they go further than that. I don't know, like Scream. I will continue watching Scream films, slightly reinvent the wheel each time. So it just depends, doesn't it, what you're into?
Yeah.
So you're listening to?
Yeah. So right now, you're not supposed to die tonight. There's about 41 minutes left in the book, and it's gotten kind of crazy. So yeah,
it does.
Looking forward to seeing what's happening there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It makes honestly such a difference.
Honestly, I can say this narrator, all I can picture, if anybody remembers the movie Clueless, the character of Amber, the redhead.
Okay.
That's all I can see is her reading.
That's not the character I don't know, like it goes into great depth of describing like her background, doesn't it, and where she's raised, and how going to this camp is such an escape for
So
her. And
it doesn't fit. It doesn't
like
fit with the
spoiled Valley Girl thing doesn't translate with that.
no.
Yeah, I've done the same thing. Books that I've
Oh,
really
there you
wanted to
go.
read had a really boring audio. Yeah, I mean, sometimes it doesn't help. Chipmunky is a great word. I'm going to remember that one. Oh, it's like tempting. How is it that I just need a couple of people on HorrorTube to tell me to buy something and like the title?
Right.
That sounds interesting. Mischief Night and
Mischief Night.
Halloween. Yeah, I think that we should add it to the dictionary. Definitely. Yeah. Chipmunky. I do. Which one was marketed? Oh, Vampires of El Norte, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, for me, I made assumptions based on what I'd heard about it, if that's the one. They might have been like Cover of Darkness. 12.
12. Okay.
Yeah, so maybe it's like a modern movies it's got the most or something like that. Do I need to watch it, Kasha? Like, can you tell me, does it have like my trigger points? And Kasha knows me. Like, is there stuff I'm not going to be able to handle in that film? Do I skip to Saw 10? Like, oh, one thing before we go to the next sprint, I need to ask you, you've been watching the new Goosebumps series. What do you think? I've watched one of them so far.
I think I've only seen the first 3 episodes. And it's one of those things where it's like, I can see the parallels a little bit, but it's almost like the new Fear Street that came out a couple of years ago. Was it last year? I can't even remember now. And it didn't need to have the Fear Street name on it, really. No, you know what I mean? It could have just been its own thing.
Yes, that's my main problem with it. I was saying to Kev, I was struggling with the age of the characters. For a start, when the first teenager came on and he looked like he was about to leave high school or something, and I'm like, but they're meant to be like tweens, aren't they, in the Goosebumps? Like, and to me, the age of the children somehow make, like the Stephen King thing, like in It, like those children are specifically young for a reason, and like it kind of makes it scarier. Like, I don't know, that just meant to me that they were dealing with different situations than the children in the books would be.
This is my thing, because I know there's been, I've delved a little bit into it, but then I got out of it. Like, people are just wigging out about this new show. Either you love it or you hate it, and people are attacking each other, which I don't understand at all. No. But if this is kind of a gateway into a new generation discovering Goosebumps, I mean, maybe that's its purpose to me in my head, kind of like the Fear Street, right?
Yeah, and I guess if you then read it and it is what you're looking for, my only thing with it being quite different is that then would you read it expecting something a little bit different?
True. Then would like the YA audience be reading it and it's more middle grade and they're like,
yeah, exactly. Like, that's what I feel like. It felt like a YA version of Goosebumps to me.
It does, yeah.
Like the Fear Street felt like it had some loose inspiration from the source material. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure whether Saw 10 is going to be what I go with. I don't know, like gore.
Hard pass.
If it's like a slasher type gore, I'm okay. But if it gets like, I don't want to be too gross about this, but like creative gore, I'm not so good with.
Yeah.
Like, give me a knife and like one and done type thing, I'm okay with it. But
yeah, anything that has like extended sort of gore, I can't, or gore for gore's sake.
No. Like Hostage type thing. That's just not me at all. Yeah. I mean, I'm like on the gentle end of the spooky scale. So if you want like more extreme stuff, Kasha can recommend to you whether it's right or not. I'm a big scaredy cat, so yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Horror, like it's a wide spectrum. But yeah, I am going to continue watching Goosebumps, but I think now in my head I'm seeing it as a separate thing from the books and just going from there, really. But yeah, that's it. I think I will enjoy it. It's quite good, like escapist kind of. And I'm interested how the first episode ended. I was like, oh, I didn't see that coming.
Where's this going?
Yeah, like a little thread between them. obviously it's going to tackle a different Goosebumps book, but keep something going, which the books didn't necessarily do as much.
Yeah.
I know. I haven't read that many of them. Right, I think it is time for another sprint. Now I've checked what you think of Goosebumps. I was like, am I on the right lines with this? Do I need to keep going? I'm going to keep going. Okay, let's do another 40 minutes and then we'll see you on the other side. Hello. I was actually ready that time. Once.
Yeah, me too.
I saw just a few seconds after and I thought, yeah, I'm going to put the laptop down, get ready. So how did it go? Did you finish? Have you nearly finished the book?
Funny enough, it finished like literally 4 seconds before the
Oh,
kitty went off. So it was an okay book. It was pretty good. I see now what you might mean about like bringing different kinds of horror together. Like it's not just your normal
yeah.
slasher story, but that narrator, oh man, I just couldn't do it. So I've got to remember to sample the book before I buy it.
Yeah, it does really affect your experience, doesn't it? What did you think of that last little chapter there?
You know what? I think the epilogue was probably the best part of the whole thing.
It seems to be quite polarizing. Like I'm still not sure. Like as a device, it's not my favorite, but I thought it was done pretty well, if that makes
It was
sense.
done well, and yeah, no, I'm not going to say that because I don't want to spoil anything.
Yeah, we'll talk about it another time when we're
Yeah.
not on camera. But yeah. Oh, so you kind of enjoyed it. Yeah, I did enjoy it, but I think that the extra types of horror, maybe some of them, I think I would have concentrated on the pure slasher thing for me personally. But
Yes.
I know there are people in the book club who kind of love the fact that it went in all these wild directions.
I thought it was interesting, and it kind of keeps things interesting, like we were talking about before, where you read so much of the same thing all the time.
Yeah.
So it's almost like, hey, I wish it had us stuck to the same track, or hey, I really, really like what they did here. So it is going to be polarizing, I think, for everyone the whole way through.
Yeah, which I do quite like actually. I like a book that, because every book can't be, everything to every person. I like it sometimes when books are really like strongly polarizing. It means that they've done something different at
Yeah,
least.
yeah, exactly.
A question for both of us here: have we watched For the House of Usher? I haven't, but it's on my list of things I want to watch.
No, I haven't. I actually don't have Netflix anymore. We got rid of it about a year or so ago. We just found that we weren't gravitating towards it. Um, but I think this is quite polarizing too, from what I've read of the reviews.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have Netflix currently because I was using my brother's, and sadly we are not. I don't know whether the US and Canada have had the similar thing, but the UK Netflix, we've all been kind of booted off if we've been using somebody else's.
Oh, yeah.
So at some point I'll possibly get my own, but for now I'm really into a lot of things on Paramount and Disney, and that seems to work for my little one as well. So we're
Yeah,
just
we have Disney. We have Prime. We watch Prime a lot. And but on Disney, we've been watching episodes of Home Improvement
I
in the
love Home
90s.
Improvement. We've been rewatching Boy Meets World and doing a
Oh,
similar thing,
nice.
like for nostalgia. Maybe we'll do Home Improvement next. But
Yeah.
it's just like it's really fun. You know exactly what you're getting, and like we remember bits of it. Like Kev remembers different bits from what I do. We both agree that the older brother's really hot, and I think he's probably nearer to our age than he's playing, so it's fine. I think he's like in his late 20s or something, playing a like late teens. Yeah, it's quite interesting because I had a crush on the brother and Sean, like the
Yep.
friend, when I was watching it as a kid, and now I'm like, oh, Sean's a baby. Like this is sad that
I know.
I'm now like old enough to be his mother. And last time I watched it, I was probably younger
That,
than him.
yeah, because I did you guys have the TGIF over there, like the Friday night lineup?
Yeah, do you know what? We had a program called TFI Friday, hosted by Chris Evans, not the Hollywood actor Chris Evans, the ginger like TV presenter Chris Evans. So yeah, sort of like we had like Friends and Spin City and Frasier used to be on, so that was like the later lineup. But yeah, I don't know, stuff like that. Like it was on once a week on Channel 4. So it wasn't like now where you'd get like the endless repeats and stuff. Like you'd get it, and if you missed it, that was it.
That
And
was
then
it. Like you couldn't, you just missed that episode.
yeah, I remember like my mum used to record Sweet Valley High on a Saturday when
Yeah.
I went dancing, and I was so mad like weeks that she forgot to record it because literally you couldn't even pre-record at that time. I don't think it was like hit record
You
and
had
it's
to hit the record button, yeah.
or you've lost it. So yeah, other nights I've just a little Kev cameo. If you're looking for Kev, if you want to play a drinking game or like an eat chocolate game, if you get like a sighting of Kev, you can treat yourself.
Sometimes there were some holidays that do like marathons.
Oh yeah, they did. Like they did do marathon things, like things like Saved by the Bell. They'd show like every day of the summer holidays, and
Yes.
the one Bug Juice, like they'd show Saved by the Bell, Bug Juice, Round the Twist. Did you get Round the Twist in Canada?
No.
I think you'd like that. It's weird. It was like this weird Australian series, and it was a bit like kind of like Erie, Indiana, a little bit. Like it had that, like it was kind of maybe not as weird, but like strange little things would happen that could be a little bit paranormal from what I remember. And it had this really catchy theme tune, which I won't sing. Anybody from the UK can probably remember. Yeah, I'd love to watch that, actually, know if it's good. Like I still think Erie, Indiana is good, but I don't know about that. Like whether
I'm gonna have to look that up because I personally haven't heard of it. I'm assuming we didn't get it here.
Yeah, I definitely look it up and tell me if it's good, because I'd be interested to know if it's like terrible now. Yes, let's not watch it, Elizabeth. Do you like to go as Elizabeth, by the way? I always wonder this when I say, because I have a couple of friends who are Elizabeths. Like one of my friends is Liz and one is Lizzie. So I was like, do you like to be the full Elizabeth?
Yeah, no, I'm either Elizabeth or Lizzie. My mom is a Betty and I'm a Lizzie.
Oh, that's cute. I like a Betty. Like that isn't normally a UK like summary of Elizabeth. You tend to get Liz or Lizzie.
Yeah.
I like Betty. Like it's is it on Riverdale? There's a Betty, and I was
Yes.
like, oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Libby. So I called my Elizabeth Libby just because I wanted her to be Elizabeth Bathory. I named her for Elizabeth Bathory, but she's a bit too upbeat and kind of cute to be Elizabeth Bathory. Oh, I need to know what that's like. That's on my list for this month, and I don't think I'm going to get
I've
to it.
heard some differing opinions on that one, actually. The All Hallows.
Yeah, me too. I like Christopher Golden's Buffy books that I've read, but again, a long time ago, and I haven't read anything else, so I'm literally just going on the Buffy. So if I trust Sharon's opinion there, Sharon can tell us. Oh, thank you if we've not missed you already, Dee. Thanks for stopping by. Oh no, Disney putting the price up. I think our Disney is currently free because we stayed in a Disney hotel, so we're probably okay for a little bit, but that's annoying if the prices are going up. Yeah, we've got until March. Kev saying for the free. Ooh, interesting. So Amber Benson.
So is that Tara?
Yeah,
like
I think
Amber
so. Because I saw that I've just downloaded the Slayers series on my Audible, and she co-wrote that with Christopher Golden. I didn't realize.
Oh, I didn't know that.
No, I didn't. So and it just had those two names, whether there's other people involved too. And I don't know whether she does any of the voice acting in it or whether
I'm assuming maybe. Well, given what happened in the series, it would be interesting to see.
It's all you, isn't it? So I think it's like all kind of, anything could happen to anyone. I think I don't know what. I'm assuming it's future because of the age of the actors now, but with it being voice, I don't know what they're going to do with that. I'm interested. I'm a little bit nervous, as always.
I'm really nervous. I was going to ask you about this if you had heard anything about
People
it.
keep sending me messages to say that, like, have you listened to it? Because we know, like, you're, our resident Buffy fan, and I just haven't had time yet, to be honest. I've been listening to Vampires Del Norte, and when I finish that, I'm going to listen to the Buffy thing. Although I'm a bit miffed that it won't count as a book. Like, I try and read 8 books a month, and it doesn't count as a book. Or does it? Like, is it going to be a book?
I mean, I would think so, because it's technically a podcast, I think, but it's read like a story, like fiction.
Yeah,
right?
because if she's writing like novellas, like, does it count as novella? I mean, I'll see if it's on Goodreads.
I'm throwing it in my Goodreads. I don't care.
Yeah. Hi. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, I mean, I'm really surprised that she is more. I literally just today discovered that she'd co-written that series as well, unless I misread, but I'm sure it said that with Christopher Golden. Yeah,
Twilight Zone.
I do really need to rewatch / like watch for the first time a lot of it, because I've seen bits, but I think, like we were saying, the way TV was shown in the 90s, like, you often haven't seen everything. Like, I'm sure I haven't seen like every episode of Saved by the Bell, every episode of California Dreams I really used to like as well, and I think you just caught the ones that you caught, and if you didn't see them, then that was it. Like, you couldn't get stuff like that on video very easily. Yes, that's exactly it. That's the theme tune. Okay, I'm going to sing it. Have you ever felt like this? Strange things happened. Are you going around the twist? So it's like...
I've got to look this up now.
little weird stories. Like, I wish I could remember what one of them was. I can picture the kids in my head, but I don't know. Ah, interesting.
So I've heard this parallel world thing, and I've heard like who the actual Slayer is supposed to be. And I'm
I
like,
heard,
I
yeah.
don't know about this, you guys.
I don't either, but again, I tend to, if I don't buy into the storyline, I tend to just treat it as a separate. And I think all you, it can be its own separate thing, can't it? But like the Kendara Blake books, I just take those as canon, like they are
It's so funny. I'm
the
like, why do I
Buffyverse.
think that her book specifically, I'm like, yes, this is the one.
Yeah,
I don't know because there's so many spin-offs.
yeah. I mean, hers just seem really in keeping. She is a proper Buffy fan. Like she's the kind
Yes.
of Buffy fan that we are, where like you can cite particular quotes to her and TV and episodes, and she's like, "Yes, you're talking about Hush, like season whatever episode." In fact, if anything, she's probably a bit better than me and stuff like that. So I think she really cares and she wanted to do it justice and she was super excited to have the opportunity. And I think that all really matters. William Ritter's book was good too. You read Bloody Fool for Love, the Spike prequel?
No, but I want to read that one because you did, and the reason why I want to read it is because you're like, yeah, no, it's a good one.
Yeah, he caught the voices of the characters really well. And there's a really good Drusilla. Like I asked him about it in the interview, not to, I won't spoil it for you, but he got to like explain something about Drusilla and he said he put it in and he didn't know whether Disney would let him leave it because they're very much like this is canon, this is the Buffyverse, and you stick within these parameters. And he added this little thing and he got to keep it. And I was like, I'm really pleased for you that you got to create your own bit of Buffyverse, like a small thing, but
Well,
it's just
and
like nice.
Drew, like we're rewatching Buffy right now, and
Yeah.
we're in like the season 2 Spike Drusilla kind of era. And she is so important to me that it's good to know that like those little tidbits are
Yeah.
in there, and
Do you know
he's
what?
such a Drusilla fan.
I didn't get her as a teenager. Like, I don't think I understood the place that she was coming from, like the trauma she'd been through and stuff. Like, I thought she was cool and kooky and interesting, but kind of, I think, dismissed her a little bit. And like, watching as an adult, I was like, oh my gosh, this character is like, and her performance, Juliet
Oh,
Landau, is just
she's
amazing.
fantastic.
Yeah, I saw a little clip of James Masters talking about this new Audible show, and he's with her, like saying how I'd forgotten how good you were. Like I've
Yes, I
forgotten what it
saw
was like
that
to
one.
act with
Yeah.
you. A few people have sent me. I'm like, I like it that like I get repeatedly sent these things. Like if there's any weird news story that might be vampires, people always send me those too, and I always please keep sending me them, people. If you get anything that like a person's been killed and like it looks like a vampire bite, I feel bad for the person, but I love anything that's gruesome and vampire related. I do. I need to listen to it really soon. I haven't heard any feedback from it at all. Like I don't know. I've heard nothing about what people think. So I'm going to try and avoid hearing opinions and just judge it for myself.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
if it's on Goodreads, I'm gonna try and counter it. My reading's been a bit bleak this year. Oh yes, Sharon likes it. Awesome. That's good to know.
nice.
Fingers crossed we're all going to enjoy it and have a good time. I feel like if James Masters and is Anthony Head involved as well? I think maybe.
You know what? Funny enough, I saw a TikToker talking about the new show, and he got heck for it because he was like, "Oh, Giles is coming back,"
Oh,
and people just tore him apart. They're like, "You're not a Buffy fan."
I've been there with books though. Like when I was a child, I remember saying to my mom, like that Anon was a really well-known author, and she was like, Anon, and I was like, yeah, he's written loads of poems, or she, like whoever they are, and she's like, oh, anonymous. Like I spent years thinking that was like a really prolific person because they'd written so many books and poems. So I get it. I've known that pain of like the mispronunciation pain. But yeah, interestingly, I wonder if then that person's like read more Buffy stuff than they've watched. Like they've read the comics and read the books and stuff and just guiled it up there. Oh, that's really cute. I like that. I don't think we're gonna beat that. Oh yes, Giles, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, James Masters all the way for me. Like I would have watched
So
listened to
I
it
was
just to tease
thinking,
it.
because I know everybody is stupidly busy right now, but I think we're gonna have to do a live show one of these days where maybe we count down like our top 10 characters and we compare and debate like our choices.
I do think we should. You were on the show, weren't we? Where I was with Kelsey and who else was with us? And we were saying that we needed to do a live show and get
Was that
Cameron on.
Katrina?
Yeah, it might have been. And say we get Cameron on as the representative Angel fan. I did bring up
Yes.
Angel the other day when I was interviewing him, and I was like, I'm going to have to talk to you about Angel. And like, I do love Angel, so no shade at all, but I just prefer Spike. So yeah, I would actually really love to hear what other people's favorites are, because after Spike and Buffy, I find it quite difficult. Like, I'd have to.
I feel like I'm very loyal to my favorite characters.
Yeah, I don't know, because some of them, like some, I emphatically, as an adult now, as a teenager, I think I had less strong views. But as an adult, I emphatically don't like certain characters. And some I haven't changed my mind on since I was a teen, but some, watching it as an adult, I have like a different empathy for them because I see why they are like they are now. Like I really feel for Buffy's mum so much. Like as a parent now,
Wasn't she just
so much.
She was a great TV mom.
Yeah,
she did such a good job.
Yeah, I always thought she was great, and now like imagining like, what if my son told me that he was like the chosen one going out to fight evil every night? I would be a wreck. Like she plays it so well. Yeah, we need to do that, Sharon. I think maybe we need to just like get the ball rolling on this and just say like, yeah, those same people, will get them on and do a little Buffy chat. I'm definitely game for that. Okay, let's do the sprint because it is getting late here. I'm going to do 30 minutes, and I think I'm going to drag Kev onto camera too because I need him. Kev's been kindly editing my book for me, so I need to go through some Kev edits in the next one. Are you ready to do some edits? He sounds half asleep, but I'm sure we'll be fine. We can elbow each other if we're getting sleepy on this one. Okay, so we're going to do another 30 minutes. This will be the last sprint, and we'll see you on the other side. And just like that, it's the end of the sprints. So how did you get on, Elizabeth, in the last one?
Good. I started Halloween Rain.
Okay. What are your
So,
impressions?
who wrote this? Oh, this is one of the Christopher Golden ones. So, it really does have the voice of Buffy, I have to say. So I think this is going to be a good one.
Oh, good. I'm glad, because I think I was so like into them at the time that I couldn't perceive them objectively. So it's good to know that as an adult you can still read it and enjoy, because I bought all those Buffy books and then I haven't really read any of them except for the newer ones. So I want to go back at some point and just kind of plunge in. Somebody sent me like a recommended reading order of them at one time, so I need to try and dig that out. And
Yeah, so that's one of my things too. And I was just going to look it up. I was just going to Google it,
yeah,
like, what's the best order to read them in?
yeah, I'm a bit weird with that. I quite like chronology, like as in publication order for stuff like that, because I sometimes think even if it's a prequel or a sequel or whatever, like it was written in that order, and that's the order
Yes.
that the author's awareness was there. So even with stuff like Star Wars, I'd be inclined to watch it in release order if I was going to rewatch them. But I don't know. Like for those, I'm going to have to look and see what other people say. Like people have said that there's like an order to read Stephen King in and stuff like that. Like,
Oh,
but there's so many Stephen King books, I'm probably never going to read them all. I just kind of dip into the ones that I want to read with those.
yeah.
Um, right, let's see how other people are doing, and then we can wrap up. I had a good little editing slot. I had to go and see a little person who Kev's up with now, so I don't know whether they've both fallen asleep or whether either of them are asleep. I don't know. It's gone quiet anyway up there. Thank you for coming on. Excellent. Gosh, I remember the days of reading textbooks. I have to say,
Yeah,
I did a law degree. It was not the most interesting reading in my textbooks
I
generally.
bet.
Like the criminal law cases were quite interesting. But yeah, generally like reading about contract law and company law and all that stuff wasn't.
It had to be super dry.
Yeah, really so dry. I mean, I don't really know what I was thinking. I think it was a useful degree overall. I learned a lot of things about putting an argument together and public speaking things. It definitely improved my confidence. But yeah, I've never used any of it since. It's officially out of date. I think 10 years after you do a law degree, you can't practice law.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
And I remember in my early 30s thinking, oh, shame. I used to think I wanted to practice law, but lots of people said to me, like, it's not for you. You're too creative. And I was like, oh, I want to do it anyway.
That's
Ally
interesting.
McBeal totally like misled me. I think I thought I was going to work in like a fun, sassy office where we'd have like interesting cases all the time and stuff. And I think the reality
I
of
don't think that's the reality.
being a lawyer in Doncaster, like not LA or somewhere, is a bit different. But yes, I think I'm getting tired. I can feel the like waves of like making no sense coming over me. I need to go and see what's happening upstairs. I feel like I'm going to go up and they're both going to be crashed out on Nathan's bed.
No.
Well, thank you so much. As always, I've had a lovely time chatting to you. Thank you, everyone in the comments. It's been nice to see some of Elizabeth's people coming along. I hope that you'll come back and join us for sprints, and hopefully we'll have you on soon again, Elizabeth.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I am doing sprints. I can't remember when I've got them this week. It's late at this point. I think I'm doing them maybe Tuesday and Thursday. Definitely Thursday. Check my YouTube and my socials for the other days, and hopefully I'll see some of you on the sprint soon. Bye, everyone.
Bye.